Hi there, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another card making tutorial. Today we are going to be creating some geo flowers backgrounds with matching envelopes using brand new products from the Simon Says Stamp Beautiful Days release. And I could not stop with just one card. I had to make three. Everything I'm using here as far as stamps and stencils and the acetate greetings are brand new. So let's get started with making our background. A good background to me is always the basis for a really great card. And in this case, I am going to be using the bold geometric stencil, and I'm just going to temporarily hold it in place with a little post-it tape. I have got some white pigment ink, and I'm going to take a blending brush that I kind of have set aside just for using with white ink, and I am going to kind of partially pounce, partially blend it onto this smoke gray cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. And I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it is going to be awesome when we're done. I love a good stencil and stamp background. Now, of course, you guys have probably already guessed what I'm going to do next, and that is adding some text. But we're not just going to add text. You might notice that I left that stencil in place. We're going to take the entire thing, place it in a MISTI or a stamp positioner tool, and I am going to take a previously released stamp from Simon. This is the friendship text background. Any sort of text background is going to work here. And I am going to ink this up with the flannel Pawsitively saturated ink and stamp this right over the background and the stencil. This is going to create that text right over where we've stenciled. So when I remove the stencil, we are going to be left with this awesome effect. It doesn't have to be super perfect, but look at this, you guys. Oh my gosh. I love that the stenciling and text is only in the area where the stencil is. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and create two more of these backgrounds, and then we're going to start creating some beautiful designs. Now I had stamped a few of these geo flowers, which you saw a little peek of a minute ago, and I was like, I don't think this is the color palette I want to use. I am actually going to use the color palette of Morning, Twilight, and Galaxy, and these beautiful inks are going to be more of our muted blues, I guess I want to say. And then I'm going to use a lot of sage and even a little aspen ink, which again is more of the muted tones. All of my cards are going to feature blues and greens on the gray and white background, but they're all going to be just a little bit different. This is something I love to do in all of my cards. So we're going to be creating the first background here. And this Geo Flowers Leaves background, or border, pardon me, I am stamping 3 times with sage ink. And I know it looks blotchy right now, but it's going to smooth out and look absolutely beautiful. Then I'm going to take about 2 different shapes that I am going to use as modern looking flowers. And I am going to stamp 3 in each color. I hope that makes sense. So there's going to be 3 Twilight, I think is what I'm stamping first, 3 in the Morning shade, and 3 in the Galaxy shade. And to do that, I am going to have to stamp like that little half moon more than once, which I do end up doing, and you're going to see that several times. So I'm just stamping all of these little pieces. By keeping my color palette to a minimum, it really helps me. Something that I have found, because my initial idea was to go rainbow, was to use lots and lots of different colors. And while I think that would have been fine, I really love this so much more, and I tend to be a very tone-on-tone type of crafter anyway. I like kind of keeping that color palette to a minimum a lot of the time, and this works so well here. So it's going to be kind of an ombre effect of flowers on the background, which you'll see as we start to put it together. Now it is quite a bit of die cutting. There is a coordinating die set that goes with these geo flowers. You can get it as a stamp die combo, or you can get the stamps by themselves, or the dies by themselves, whatever you want to do there. But I am going to die cut all of my components when I'm done stamping. However, I do think that my flower centers for the circle flowers need something. There are some little circles in the set. So I am going to stamp with CITRINE ink. We're going to do enough little circles for the half moon flowers, and then we're going to fill in the round circles with a little bit bigger round shape, also using the CITRINE ink. Again, keeping it very easy, but it doesn't look great here, honestly. But when you get it all die cut and start putting it all together, the magic of the beautiful background and then these beautiful shades, it just really all comes together for me. And I think this would be something that would be beautiful to create lots of cards and maybe make a set. So here you can see I've got my background and I'm going to start putting it together. I did lay everything out ahead of time just to kind of make sure that I was still loving it. And I am popping everything up with foam adhesive. Foam adhesive is something that just instantly adds that depth and dimension, adds interest, makes it super fun to look at. So it's kind of my go-to. I'm also tipping some of my half moon flowers at angles, different angles, just for a little added interest. You'll also notice that I have some of the brand new little acetate strips here. These are called the Everyday Acetate. And just like the sentiment strips from Simon Says Stamp, these are little printed strips, but on acetate. And I have cut several of them apart to use on my cards. So that also makes it very easy, but you could totally use sentiment strips from your stash or stamps your own little sentiment strip, whatever you want to do there. Lots of foam adhesive squares. These are all the Simon Says Stamp foam adhesive squares, which I absolutely love and use all of the time. And the key to getting this card to lay correctly is really to make sure you lay out your stamps prior to doing any stamping. I laid out at the bottom and then I would lay out the circles right above the border, and then I would move the border stamp up. And I just kept doing that just to make sure that my spacing was going to be correct for my card. I hope that kind of makes sense. And then I'm simply filling in the whole thing. I just love this card. I think it's so much fun. I'm using the brand new tool from Simon Says Stamp as well. There's a couple of new tools. I put the other one somewhere else, and so this one was handy and I'm using it. It kind of has that little sticky little ball on the end here. But the actual like pickup tool, it would work a little bit better. But the subtleness of the background, you can just see that it adds so much interest instead of just a solid background. I'm one of those that really loves a background that has a little bit going on. Next, I'm taking some Pretty Pink Posh lemon drop pearls and adding them to my card, and I glued a greeting in place. I chose to use So Grateful We're Friends on that card. Now, you guys probably already guessed it, but we need a coordinating envelope. So I am going to take the leaves, a leaves image, pardon me, from the stamp set. Anything will work here. And then I'm going to take one of the flower designs and we are going to just stamp a little flower in the corner of the envelope. It doesn't have to be extravagant. Obviously, if you want to, it can be, but it can just be something as simple as a little flower in the corner, and it instantly adds such a beautiful finishing touch to your card set. Let's go ahead and add a little yellow flower center. And then this was so much fun. Let's go make a couple more cards. Now, my goal for this was to do something completely different. As far as design, I didn't want to do the exact same design for all 3 cards. I want to use the same supplies. I just want to use something different. So for this, I am going to do one card that has like a big floral and some leaves with a simple sentiment. So a lot more of the background is going to get seen on this card. And then I'm going to do a card that isn't so much flowers. I mean, it could be flowers, but I kind of imagined them almost as blueberries, as fruit. There's a lot of fruit stuff going around just in general in crafting. If you guys follow me for cross stitch or quilting, there's a lot of quilting fabric with fruit on it right now. There's a lot of cross stitch patterns with fruit. I think it's just very popular. And so I saw blueberries with the little circles and the leaves. I thought, wouldn't it be cute to kind of create a background that looks like blueberries? So I'm not actually going to stamp all of those on camera. I stamped a different leaf set first. And then I kind of changed my mind on what I wanted to create. So I just have a couple extra pieces that I'll have to save for something else. It just wasn't working for me. And I liked the blueberry idea so much better. Again, lots of die cutting here, but it's just simple, easy, solid stamping. The coordinating dies make it a breeze to get everything cut out. And once we have all of our little pieces here, we're going to start putting it together. So that final blueberry, I'm going to just call it the blueberry card, does not actually have any bits of yellow on it. The other 2 that are more floral, they've got the yellow flower centers, and then I'm adding yellow pearls to both of those. But the blueberry card, I just didn't feel like that matched the vibe. So we're going to add some blue pearls. I think these are Trinity Stamps Crystal Blue to that one, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now, for this particular background with a single flower, I felt like the 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch background was too big for this particular card design. And then kind of a happy accident, I picked my background. One of the backgrounds was a little skewed. It wasn't straight on that 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. So what I did was I took a basic rectangle from Simon Says Stamp to make it very easy. And I lined it up with my crooked stenciling and stamping and die cut it so it looks straight. So that's an easy way to kind of fix something so that you don't have to redo it. Now I've built my flower, so I've got the beautiful single flower here. This was so easy. 2 leaves. I kind of thought it would be cute to stack those up. One is stamped in sage, one in aspen, and then adding a little hello acetate strip underneath. And of course, finishing with a scattering of these yellow lemon drop pearls. So kind of one there in the center, and then we're just going to scatter a few throughout. You can see I kind of was contemplating exactly where I thought I wanted those to go, but I like the little touch of pearls and just a little embellishment. Let's add a couple more up here. And then, of course, I will add this to a white top fold card base. All 3 of my cards today, I used the Simon Says Stamp white top fold card bases. This one will have that nice kind of chunky white border all the way around. I used the second largest basic rectangle die from Simon Says Stamp to die cut that background. You can always just use a paper trimmer if you would like, but with a crooked background like that, dies often are the easier way to go. Here is my last background. I did do all of my stamping and die cutting off camera since it was a lot of repetition, and I've started to attach my blueberries to the background. This background will be a little more similar to the first one, but it's not going to be lined up exact like the first card. So it's going to be a little bit more organic, I suppose, and I'm going to move that greeting instead of layering it over an element, which I kind of had to do on the first card. There wasn't room to tuck it anywhere else. I have left room on this background for my greeting, which is thanks so much. I used only 2 colors of the blue ink. This time I used Twilight and Galaxy. I didn't use any of the light morning color I felt like the two darker colors were more blueberry-ish, especially that Galaxy. But I like the two-toned for interest. And I did manage to squeeze a little heart in here. I tried to add a heart to the other two cards, but I just wasn't feeling it. But there was the perfect little spot for a little heart on this one. So I added a Trinity Stamps white jelly heart. And then these are those beautiful crystal blue Trinity Stamps baubles. And they, to me, I pulled out several colors of blue, but this one just, it was the winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I liked this one a lot. So I am just going to pop these kind of throughout, some on the blueberries and then some just on the background. This is a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch background as well, adhered to a white top fold card base. Now, the final thing that we want to do is add some matching envelopes for each. So for the flower background, or the single flower, we're going to replicate that flower on an envelope. And then for the blueberries, we're going to replicate those. Just stamp a couple of those in the bottom left corner of an envelope. Super easy, super quick. There's the flower. I forgot to film it. That's why I'm just showing it to you. So sorry. I guess I got so excited I forgot to turn my camera on. And then I'm just going to stamp up the blueberries. So I want to figure out where my leaves are going to go first and stamp those. Either color of ink is fine. I think I actually picked the lighter color here. I think I picked Aspen. I'd used Sage for the card, but it's fine. It's in the same color trio. And then I'll stamp one blueberry in Galaxy and one in Twilight to finish off my set. So I hope this has given you some fun ideas for the Geo Flowers stamp set and also the amazing bold geometric stencil from the Beautiful Days release at Simon Says Stamp. Lots and lots of fun things can be achieved with this. I mean, imagine making all kinds of fruit with these shapes, different flowers, wonderful geometric backgrounds. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. The supplies are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There's exclusive content. You'll receive a handmade birthday card from me during your birthday month, monthly lives for my top tier patrons, and more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, click the like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always notified when I have a video or go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.